5 simple habits that quietly add years to your life. People often say, as you get older, feeling tired all the time, not sleeping well, or losing your appetite is just part of aging. But that's not true. You don't have to accept low energy, brain fog, or a body that doesn't feel like yours anymore. Getting older doesn't mean you have to feel worse. It just means you need to take care of your body in a different way. In this video, I'll show you 5 simple habits that can help you feel better, more clear-headed, more active, and more comfortable in your own skin. And yes, the 4th one might surprise you because it's something many people have been told to avoid, when in fact, it could be the key to living longer. If this sounds like something you've been searching for, and you want more tips to help you stay healthy and strong as you age, then take a second to subscribe to Wellness Unlocked. We keep things simple, real, and focused on what actually works. No hype, no pressure. Now let's get into the first habit. It's something most people do every day, but they do it the wrong way without even knowing it. 1. Eat fermented foods daily. Most people think good health starts with what you eat, but few realize that it also depends on what your body can absorb. And that's where fermented foods come in. These are natural foods that have been transformed by beneficial bacteria, turning simple ingredients into powerful tools for digestion, immunity, and longevity. Yet in many modern diets, especially in Western countries, they're often forgotten or replaced by pills and powders that promise the same benefits. But real health doesn't come from capsules. It comes from food that's alive. Fermented foods like miso soup, pickled vegetables, yogurt, kimchi, and sauerkraut are rich in probiotics, good bacteria that live in your gut and help you break down food, absorb nutrients, and fight off harmful microbes. They also contain digestive enzymes and compounds that reduce inflammation, protect your brain, and support your immune system. And the best part? They've been part of traditional diets for centuries, especially in cultures known for long, healthy lives. But let's take a step back. Why does this matter so much as we age? Because after 60, your digestion naturally slows down. You may feel full faster, bloated more often, or tired after meals. Your body becomes less efficient at absorbing nutrients from food, even if you're eating well. This is why many older adults feel fatigued or weak, even when their diet seems healthy. Fermented foods can help change that. They support the gut microbiome, the community of bacteria inside your body that influences everything from your digestion to your mood and even your memory. A balanced gut makes it easier for your body to absorb the vitamins and minerals it needs, especially calcium, magnesium, and B vitamins, which are essential for strong bones, steady energy, and mental clarity. I'm someone with experience who has studied medicine and human health for many years. I've seen firsthand how something as simple as fermented foods can make a powerful difference. In clinical settings, I've worked with older patients who struggled with chronic bloating, recurring indigestion, and a general feeling of heaviness after eating. Many of them had tried everything: medications, fiber supplements, strict elimination diets, only to find minimal relief. But when we introduced fermented foods consistently, even in small amounts, their symptoms often improved within weeks. It's not a magic cure, but it supports the body's natural systems in a way that no synthetic supplement can truly replicate. Take Clara, for example. She's 72, retired, and had been struggling with bloating, poor sleep, and irregular digestion for years. She tried antacids, fiber powders, and even probiotics in pill form, but nothing really worked. Then a friend introduced her to miso paste, just a spoonful stirred into warm water each morning. Within 2 weeks, Clara noticed her bloating had decreased, her energy was steadier, and her stomach felt more comfortable after meals. She didn't change the rest of her diet. Just that one habit made a big difference. And it's not just miso. Naturally fermented pickles, kefir, plain yogurt, and even fermented tea like kombucha can offer similar benefits. The key is to choose real, unprocessed versions, not shelf-stable, pasteurized products that have lost their beneficial bacteria. One thing I often emphasize is that not all probiotic products are created equal. Commercially marketed probiotic drinks and pills often lack the diversity and strength of bacteria that naturally fermented foods provide. and many of them are packed with sugar or additives that can actually worsen gut health. That's why I always recommend starting with real food. A few bites of kimchi or a spoonful of sauerkraut can do more for your digestive health than any supplement aisle ever could. You don't need to eat fermented foods at every meal. Start small. A spoon of fermented veggies with lunch, a cup of warm miso broth in the morning, a serving of unsweetened yogurt in the afternoon. What matters most is consistency. Over time, these small habits help rebuild a healthier, more resilient gut, one that can better support your entire body. Fermentation is not a trend. It's an ancient method of healing that modern science is only beginning to fully understand. And if you ask me, it's one of the most underrated tools in healthy aging. In my years working with older adults, I've found that the ones who recover the fastest, who maintain energy, digestion, and mental clarity well into their 70s and 80s, almost always include some form of fermented food in their diet. So if you're feeling sluggish, dealing with bloating, or just want to support your body in a natural way, fermented foods are a smart place to begin. They don't just feed your stomach. They nourish your entire system from the inside out. And as you get older, that inside-out support becomes more important than ever. 2. Eat smart carbs, like purple sweet potatoes. For many years, people have been told to fear carbohydrates. Cut the carbs, they say. Avoid starch if you want to stay healthy. But what if this advice has caused more harm than good, especially for older adults? As someone with experience in studying human health for many years, I've seen how this fear of carbs leads to energy crashes, brain fog, and a poor relationship with food. The truth is, not all carbohydrates are bad. In fact, some, like purple sweet potatoes, may be among the most protective foods you can eat as you age. Purple sweet potatoes aren't just a colorful version of a familiar vegetable. They're in a class of their own, rich in anthocyanins, the same antioxidant compounds that give blueberries their deep color. These potatoes help fight inflammation, protect blood vessels, and reduce oxidative stress on cells. This is especially important for older adults, as oxidative damage is a major factor in aging-related conditions like memory decline, high blood pressure, and heart disease. What's remarkable is how deeply this simple root vegetable is connected to longevity in real-life populations. A well-known dietary study looked into the traditional eating habits of elderly adults in Okinawa, Japan, a region famous for having one of the highest concentrations of centenarians in the world. The study found that purple sweet potatoes made up over 60% of their daily caloric intake for decades. That's not a small side dish. It's the foundation of their diet. And yet, these individuals maintained not only long lives but high levels of mobility, independence, and cognitive sharpness well into their 90s and beyond. As someone who works closely with aging patients, this data hit me hard. In the West, many older adults are told to avoid all carbs and load up on protein instead. But I've seen what happens when carbohydrates are completely removed, especially the healthy ones. Fatigue sets in, mood becomes unstable, sleep gets disrupted, and digestion suffers. Reintroducing the right kind of carbohydrates, like purple sweet potatoes, can dramatically improve how a person feels, often within just a few weeks. One thing that makes purple sweet potatoes special is their low glycemic index. Unlike processed carbs that cause a rapid spike and crash in blood sugar, purple sweet potatoes release energy slowly and steadily. This helps reduce hunger, stabilize mood, and prevent the kind of late-day crashes that many older adults experience. They also contain soluble fiber, which feeds beneficial gut bacteria, supports smooth digestion, and helps the body regulate cholesterol. For individuals managing diabetes, hypertension, or early signs of cognitive decline, this kind of stable, anti-inflammatory energy source is a game changer. Another reason I recommend purple sweet potatoes is that they are incredibly gentle on the digestive system. Many older adults I've worked with struggle with heavy foods, meals that sit in the stomach, cause bloating, or lead to discomfort hours later. Purple sweet potatoes are easy to chew, easy to digest, and versatile in cooking. They can be steamed, baked, or mashed without needing butter, sugar, or added fats. Their natural sweetness and creamy texture make them satisfying without needing to add anything artificial. What often surprises people is how comforting it feels to bring carbs back into the diet when they're the right kind. I remember consulting with a patient who had been avoiding all starches for over a year. She was constantly tired, had lost weight unintentionally, and felt cold all the time. We reintroduced purple sweet potatoes just 3 times a week, half a cup at lunch or dinner. After 2 weeks, her energy picked up. She started sleeping better. Her digestion improved. And most importantly, her fear around food began to fade. Carbohydrates shouldn't be a source of stress. They should be a source of strength. Purple sweet potatoes deliver more than calories. They offer stability, comfort, and a natural defense against age-related decline. And unlike many so-called superfoods, they're not expensive or hard to find. In many local markets, especially Asian or international groceries, they're affordable and widely available. You don't need to eat them every day. 2 or 3 times a week is enough to feel the benefits. In a world full of confusing health advice, this is one truth I always return to. Your body needs fuel that supports your future, not just your appetite. Purple sweet potatoes do exactly that. They're not just food, they're nourishment with a purpose. And for older adults, that purpose is clearer than ever. Strength, clarity, and comfort that lasts beyond the plate. 3. Eat until 80% full. In many cultures, especially in the West, finishing everything on your plate is seen as a sign of respect or discipline. We grow up hearing things like, "Don't waste food," or "Eat until you're full so you have energy." But what if that mindset, eating until we feel stuffed, is quietly working against our health, especially as we age? There's a principle in traditional Japanese culture called hara hachibu, which means eat until you're 80% full. Not until you're full, not until you can't take another bite, just enough to feel satisfied, with a little room left. At first, it sounds almost too simple to matter, but the science behind it is powerful and deeply relevant to those of us navigating the aging process. Overeating, especially habitual overeating, puts stress on nearly every system in the body. It increases inflammation, disrupts hormone balance, and can impair digestion. When the stomach is constantly overfilled, the digestive tract works harder. Energy gets diverted to processing food, and what should be a nourishing experience becomes a source of fatigue and discomfort. After working with countless older adults over the years, I've seen a common pattern. Many people continue eating out of habit, or because they were raised to finish everything on their plate. But the needs of the body change with time. Digestion slows. Metabolism becomes more sensitive. And what used to feel like a normal portion in your younger years can now feel heavy, tiring, or even disruptive to your sleep. What's remarkable is how small changes in portion size can create noticeable shifts in health. A study published in Cell Metabolism in 2018 followed participants over 2 years, comparing those who practiced moderate calorie restriction, around 15% fewer calories than usual, to those with no dietary changes. The results were impressive. Improved insulin sensitivity, lower levels of inflammation, reduced blood pressure, and better cardiovascular function. These weren't people on extreme diets. They were simply eating a little less than usual, and their bodies responded with resilience and renewal. This is why I often recommend the 80% rule, not as a diet, but as a mindset. It's not about counting calories or feeling deprived. It's about learning to tune in, to recognize the quiet signal your body gives when it's had enough. Most of us aren't taught to listen. We eat past fullness, then deal with the consequences later. But when you begin to eat more slowly, pause between bites, and stop when you're no longer hungry, even if there's still food on the plate, you give your body space to function better. There's also a psychological shift that comes with this practice. You begin to enjoy your meals more. You stop eating out of stress or boredom. You give yourself permission to feel light after a meal instead of weighed down. And that sense of lightness carries into your day, your mood, your energy, your ability to focus. One practical tip I share with patients is this. Midway through a meal, pause. Set your fork down. Take a breath. Ask yourself, am I still hungry? Or am I just eating because I'm used to it? That small moment of reflection is often enough to prevent overeating. You can still honor the meal. You can still enjoy every bite, but you don't have to go past the point of comfort to feel satisfied. And what about nutrition? You're not losing nutrients by eating less. In fact, studies show that the body becomes more efficient at using what it receives when it's not overwhelmed. Less is not only more, it's often better. Digestion improves. Sleep becomes deeper. Blood sugar stabilizes. And for many older adults, that uncomfortable post-meal fatigue begins to fade. Choosing to eat until you're 80% full isn't about rules. It's about respect. Respect for your body's limits. Respect for your long-term health. And perhaps most importantly, respect for the difference between eating to survive and eating to thrive. 4. Include plant-based proteins. Protein is often viewed as the foundation of strength, especially as we age. And it's true. Our muscles, bones, immune systems, and even hormones depend on it. But somewhere along the way, many people started to believe that only meat can give them what they need. The result? A diet loaded with red meat, processed protein snacks, and sometimes a complete disregard for the power of plants. The truth is, plant-based proteins offer more than just fuel. They support long-term health in ways that are especially important for aging adults. Foods like tofu, lentils, edamame, black beans, and tempeh provide complete or nearly complete protein, along with antioxidants, fiber, and essential minerals that animal products lack. And what they don't bring? Excess saturated fat, cholesterol, or the same level of inflammation associated with high meat consumption. You don't need to give up meat completely to enjoy the benefits. But adding more plant-based proteins into your meals is a powerful shift, one that supports energy, digestion, heart health, and even brain function. Several large-scale studies have shown just how impactful this can be. In a 2020 cohort study published in JAMA Internal Medicine, researchers followed over 400,000 participants and found that replacing just 3% of animal protein with plant-based sources was associated with a 10% lower risk of overall mortality. That's not a minor number. That's real impact, backed by real data. And the benefits weren't limited to just heart health. They also included reduced cancer risk and better metabolic outcomes. What makes plant-based proteins unique isn't just the protein itself, it's everything that comes with it. Take soy, for example. It's one of the few plant sources that provides all 9 essential amino acids. But beyond that, it contains isoflavones, natural compounds that have been shown to help regulate hormones, reduce inflammation, and support blood vessel function. These effects are especially valuable during and after menopause, when hormonal shifts can affect everything from mood to metabolism. And then there's the fiber. Most animal-based protein sources contain 0 fiber, but plant proteins, they're often packed with it. Fiber supports healthy digestion, helps regulate blood sugar, lowers cholesterol, and feeds the beneficial bacteria in your gut. For older adults, this means fewer digestive issues, better nutrient absorption, and even a reduced risk of colon disease. From a practical standpoint, plant-based proteins are also easier on the body. Many patients I've worked with say that after meals with red meat, they feel heavy, bloated, or tired. But when they shift toward lighter plant proteins, say a tofu stir-fry or a lentil soup, they feel satisfied without the sluggishness. Their digestion improves. Their energy levels stay more stable. And interestingly, their cravings often decrease, especially the late afternoon hunger that leads to snacking. The key here isn't restriction, it's variety. Adding plant-based proteins doesn't mean subtracting pleasure. Quite the opposite. When you begin to experiment with recipes using chickpeas, lentils, tofu, or black beans, you open yourself to new flavors, textures, and combinations. A simple lentil stew with carrots and celery can be deeply satisfying. A bowl of miso soup with tofu and seaweed can nourish both your body and your sense of calm. Eating this way doesn't feel like a diet. It feels like a return to balance. Even from a cognitive standpoint, the benefits are real. Diets higher in plant-based proteins have been linked to better memory and reduced risk of cognitive decline. A 2019 study in the journal Nutrients found that older adults who consumed more soy-based foods scored higher on memory and verbal fluency tests than those who ate less. That's not just nutrition, that's quality of life. If you're used to thinking of protein as meat, consider this. Every time you choose a plant-based protein, you're not just feeding your muscles. You're supporting your heart, your brain, your digestion, and your future. You're giving your body the kind of support it needs to age with strength, not just survive with effort. So start simple. Swap meat once or twice a week. Try tofu in a stir-fry. Add black beans to your salad. Cook lentils with garlic and tomatoes. These aren't just food choices. They're steps toward a life that feels more balanced, more energized, and more sustainable. Because aging well isn't about doing more. It's about doing what works, with less stress and more intention. And plant-based proteins are one of the easiest, most proven ways to do just that. 5. Live light, eat light, and smile often. We spend so much time thinking about what to eat, how many calories, which superfoods are trending, what to avoid next. But what if the real key to aging well isn't on the plate, but in the space between meals? How we breathe, how we move, and how we carry the weight of our thoughts each day. For many people, especially in the later years of life, the body starts to feel heavier. Not just physically, but emotionally too. Energy dips, joy becomes quieter, and the rhythm of daily life fades into something slower, less defined. But it doesn't have to be that way. There's something deeply healing about choosing to live with lightness, not just in how we eat, but in how we exist from morning to night. That doesn't mean ignoring challenges or pretending everything is fine. It means gently shifting the way we meet each day, starting with small habits that invite clarity, softness, and joy back into the body. A warm breakfast instead of something rushed, a slow walk without a destination, a moment in sunlight just to breathe. These are simple acts, but when repeated with care, they begin to rebuild a rhythm that supports both health and happiness. One woman who showed me this truth is Ruth. She was 74 when we met, living alone after her husband passed, and while she wasn't dealing with any major illness, she described her days as heavy, gray, and repetitive. She ate because she had to, not because she enjoyed it. She had stopped cooking, stopped going outside much, and told me, very quietly, that it had been months since she last felt like herself. Instead of starting with medications or dietary overhauls, I asked her to try something different. I suggested she begin each morning with a warm, light meal, just something simple like oats or miso broth, and then sit by the window or step outside for 10 minutes before doing anything else. No phone, no news, just a quiet moment for herself. After 1 week, she told me her mornings felt softer. After 2 weeks, she started adding a short walk. Within a month, she was calling her sister every Thursday again and had planted herbs on her kitchen windowsill. When I asked what changed, she said, "I think I remembered how to enjoy my own company." That shift didn't come from food labels or strict routines. It came from creating space for joy, however small. And here's the beautiful thing. When we live light, our bodies respond in kind. Digestion improves because we're not rushing meals. Sleep deepens because we're not overloaded with late-night snacks or racing thoughts. Inflammation drops because stress hormones decrease when we feel safe, steady, and connected to simple pleasures. Even posture changes. We breathe easier, stand taller, move with less tension, because the emotional weight we carry is just as real as the physical. That's why I encourage older adults not just to eat lighter meals, but to live lighter days. Keep the schedule loose but meaningful. Walk for pleasure, not punishment. Tidy a space not because it has to be done, but because the act of creating order calms the mind. Smile at a neighbor, even if you don't know their name. Play music while making lunch. Say thank you out loud even when no one is around. These tiny habits are not small. They are structure. They are medicine. They are permission to feel good in a world that often forgets to offer that. Smiling is not decoration. It's a signal to the brain that safety is present, that joy is still accessible, and that you are still here, still worthy of softness and warmth. When meals become mindful instead of mechanical, when movement is gentle instead of forced, and when laughter finds its way back into your day, everything else begins to shift. Your energy, your sleep, your digestion, your willingness to be present. And it's not about being perfect. It's about being intentional. You don't have to change your whole life to feel lighter. You just have to choose a moment, any moment, and let it be simple, calm, and kind. Because in the end, aging well isn't just about eating right or exercising enough. It's about finding the courage to release what no longer serves you, whether that's a habit, a heavy meal, or a belief that life has to slow down after 70. It doesn't. You don't. You can still create mornings that matter, afternoons that restore you, and evenings that feel peaceful, just by choosing to live light, eat light, and smile more often, one small, steady choice at a time. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need to begin, one meal, one pause, one kind decision at a time. The 6 gentle habits we've explored, eating fermented foods, choosing smart carbs, listening to your fullness, embracing plant-based proteins, living with rhythm, and smiling more often, aren't about control or discipline. They're about freedom. They're about giving your body what it has been asking for all along. Less noise, more care. You are not too old. It is not too late. And you don't have to change everything overnight. But you can choose one thing, something small, something simple, and let that be the start of something better. You deserve to feel strong, calm, and clear. Not someday, but now. If this message spoke to you, even just a little, there's more waiting, more ideas, more support, more gentle guidance just like this. You're warmly invited to subscribe to Wellness Unlocked. This is a space for those who want to age with grace, with intention, and with joy. Your future doesn't need fixing. It needs honoring. Begin today and let your own rhythm carry you forward.